Have you ever wondered what life really feels like once you cross that 80-year threshold? Even the most resilient souls, those who've weathered countless storms and stood strong through decades, find themselves caught completely off guard. Welcome to our candid exploration of the five harshest, most unexpected realities that nobody escapes after celebrating their 80th birthday. We're not talking about the obvious physical changes you can see in the mirror or the numbers that show up on your medical chart. No, we're diving deeper into those profound shifts that transform your experience from the inside out. Those quiet changes in how the world perceives you, how you perceive time, and how your memories begin to whisper truths you somehow missed until now. Some of these realities might resonate with experiences you've already felt stirring within you but couldn't quite articulate. Others might genuinely surprise you, but they all share one crucial element. They fundamentally shape how we experience the later chapters of our lives, often in ways nobody prepared us for. Stay with me until the end, because while these truths may sound harsh at first glance, there's something remarkably empowering about naming what you're experiencing and discovering you're not facing these challenges alone. Understanding these realities can help you find not just peace, but purpose and renewed strength in this stage of life. Let's begin this journey together. Reality number one, the shrinking world of social connection. One of the first realities that silently settles into your life after 80 is the unmistakable shrinking of your social universe. The phone might still ring occasionally. Visitors might still appear at your door from time to time, but there's no denying that something fundamental has changed. Not just in frequency, but in feeling. What once flowed as a natural rhythm of friendship and connection now feels scattered, perhaps even fragile. Like a favorite song playing at half speed, the melody is still there, but the tempo has shifted dramatically. Friends who once filled your living room with laughter move away to be closer to their children, battle illnesses of their own, or quietly slip away into memory. Family members, despite their best intentions, become consumed by their own busy lives. Without even realizing the transition, you find yourself spending more hours in silence than in conversation. The quietness becomes your most consistent companion. This isn't about bitterness or resentment. It's about honesty, the kind that acknowledges what's really happening. After 8 decades of life, very few people speak openly about how challenging it becomes to maintain those connections that once seemed so effortless. You notice the gradual disappearance of invitations, the widening gaps between visits, and even if you've always cherished your independence, the absence begins to speak with a voice louder than you anticipated. You might catch yourself reminiscing more frequently, not merely from nostalgic yearning, but as a way of keeping beloved people present in your daily life, even if only through the vivid tapestry of memory. The casual coffee dates you once took for granted, the regular phone calls that punctuated your weeks, the familiar faces at community events, they transform into precious treasures. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you for feeling this shift so deeply. It's not weakness or even conventional loneliness. It's simply a quiet adjustment that nearly everyone faces, yet no one adequately prepares you for. This reality makes staying emotionally connected to yourself, to your personal narrative, to even just 1 or 2 genuine friends, more vitally important than ever before. Because when the crowd inevitably thins, the depth of those few authentic connections becomes your most valuable possession. Reality number 2, how small health problems become big ones. Something that frequently catches people off guard in their 9th decade is how minor health issues refuse to remain minor. That simple cold that once passed through your system in 3 days now lingers for weeks, draining your energy. A small bruise that would have disappeared by the weekend now takes a full month to fade completely. A momentary loss of balance that once would have been forgotten by lunchtime can now result in weeks confined to bed, extensive physical therapy, or even surgical intervention. This change isn't merely about your body slowing down. It's about how your body's ability to recover becomes increasingly unpredictable. The margin for error in your daily habits shrinks dramatically, and something as seemingly insignificant as forgetting to drink enough water one afternoon or skipping a single meal can throw your entire system into disarray. You may still feel fundamentally strong in many ways, and truly you are. Your resilience has carried you through 8 decades of life's challenges, after all. But that resilience no longer operates seamlessly behind the scenes as it did during your younger years. What once happened automatically now demands your conscious attention, your intentional care, your practiced gentleness with yourself. Surprisingly, this profound shift isn't something people openly discuss. Friends, family members, even healthcare providers might downplay these changes or dismiss them with a casual, "That's just part of getting older." But you know better. You feel the weight of each recovery period. You notice how your energy reserves dip lower than they used to and take longer to replenish. The challenge here extends beyond the physical dimension. It's deeply psychological as well. There's a unique frustration that emerges from this experience. A sense that your body, your lifelong companion through every triumph and trial, isn't standing firmly on your side the way it once did. And if you've always defined yourself by being tough, active, or fiercely independent, this shift can feel like a personal betrayal. But here's the empowering truth. This heightened awareness actually grants you power. When you begin truly noticing how your body responds to different situations, you can make thoughtful adjustments. You can slow your pace without surrendering your journey. You can tune in more attentively to what your body needs: more restorative rest, more consistent hydration, more compassionate forgiveness for your own limitations. This chapter of life isn't about proving anything to anyone. It's about protecting and preserving the considerable strength you still possess by acknowledging its changing nature. Sometimes the most powerful choice you can make is allowing yourself to heal fully before moving forward, a wisdom that many younger people haven't yet discovered. Reality number 3, the quiet loss of visibility in social spaces. One of the most unsettling transformations that arrives after turning 80 is how easily the world begins to look past you. Not from deliberate cruelty, but from a subtle cultural shift that rarely gets acknowledged openly. You enter a room, and somehow the energy doesn't respond to your presence the way it once did. You begin speaking in a group setting, and sometimes others talk right over you, not necessarily from rudeness, but because they've unconsciously assumed you've finished your thought. You might find yourself repeating statements to be heard, waiting noticeably longer for acknowledgement, or simply feeling strangely transparent in social gatherings, even among your own family members. This experience cuts deeper than merely being overlooked. It represents the gradual erosion of your social presence in a world that moves at an ever-accelerating pace and increasingly centers youth above all else. It's a profound change that virtually no one prepares you for. There are moments when it feels as though the world registers your age before it registers you as an individual, as though your stories, insights, and accumulated wisdom somehow carry less weight, precisely when they contain more truth than ever before. You've lived through historical events others only read about in books. You've weathered losses that would have broken less resilient souls. You've loved deeply enough to know what truly matters in this life. And yet, there are countless moments when your presence seems muted, your voice diminished in the general conversation. This reality can trigger a complex spectrum of emotions: sadness at being overlooked, frustration at being misunderstood, and even a particular kind of grief for the visibility you once took for granted. But there's also a profound strength in recognizing this shift for exactly what it is. Not a reflection of your diminishing worth, but rather of a culture that has forgotten the essential art of listening to its elders. The truth remains unshakable. You are not invisible. The world may not always notice you immediately, but your voice still carries significant weight. Those who take the time to truly see you, to sit with your stories, appreciate your unique humor, and absorb your hard-won memories, those are the people who truly matter in your life now. They're actively listening, even if it sometimes takes them longer to lean in and hear what you have to say. So don't retreat into silence. Don't allow this cultural oversight to define your sense of self. Continue sharing what you've witnessed, what you've endured, what you've overcome. Be the quiet yet unwavering force that reminds everyone around you what genuine dignity, emotional depth, and remarkable endurance actually look like. You may not always be the loudest voice in the room, but you remain the most seasoned, and that carries far more power than most people realize until they've walked 8 decades in their own shoes. Reality number 4, the narrowing of your daily life. One of the most challenging aspects of aging beyond 80 isn't solely about internal changes. It's about what gradually disappears from your external landscape. Your world, once bustling with familiar faces and beloved places, begins to feel increasingly confined. This happens not all at once in a dramatic fashion, but piece by quiet piece, in ways you might not immediately recognize. You might discover yourself venturing out less frequently, not because your desire for engagement has diminished, but because destinations feel somehow farther away, activities require more effort, or outings leave you more thoroughly exhausted than before. Friends who once regularly appeared at your door move to distant cities to be near grandchildren, face their own health challenges, or pass away entirely. The neighborhood transforms as familiar neighbors sell their homes. Favorite restaurants where staff knew your regular order close their doors after decades. Your world doesn't collapse dramatically, it gently contracts, like a slowly ebbing tide. And there's a profound emotional weight that accompanies this gradual narrowing. The loneliness might initially feel like subtle background noise, just a touch more silence here and there throughout your days. But over time, it can grow heavier, more persistent, harder to ignore. Even for those who've always cherished independence and solitude, there's something deeply disorienting about watching once familiar elements of your life slowly drift beyond comfortable reach. Yet there's something genuinely empowering about naming this experience, about recognizing that what you're feeling isn't weakness or failure. It's a form of grief. It's the natural human response to watching meaningful chapters of your life gradually close. This acknowledgement doesn't signify surrender. It demonstrates that you care deeply about the connections that shaped your journey. But here's the vital truth that gets overlooked. Even as your familiar world contracts, a new one can still expand in different directions. That expansion might not arrive through extensive travel or grand social events. Instead, it might emerge from the increasing depth of a single new conversation, from forming an unexpected friendship with someone decades younger, or from sharing your life stories in ways you never previously attempted. Your world doesn't need to stretch endlessly wide to remain profoundly meaningful. It simply needs to stay alive with possibility. So make that phone call to a distant friend, even if you haven't spoken in months. Join that community book discussion, even if it meets online rather than in person. Take that short walk around your immediate neighborhood. Even if you can't venture as far as you once did, your world undoubtedly looks different now. But it hasn't concluded, it's evolving. And within this new landscape, abundant space remains for authentic joy, spontaneous laughter, and meaningful connection. Reality number 5, the unpredictability of your own body. After 8 decades of life, your body begins sending contradictory signals, often at the most inconvenient moments. One morning, you awaken feeling remarkably clear-headed, steady on your feet, strong enough to tackle anything the day might bring. The very next day, you find yourself moving more cautiously, thinking through a slight mental fog, puzzled why your knees won't cooperate as they did just yesterday, or why your fingers struggle to maintain a firm grip on that morning coffee mug. What makes this reality so deeply frustrating isn't merely the physical limitations themselves. It's the profound sense of betrayal that accompanies them. You've inhabited this body your entire life, trusted its capabilities, learned its patterns, depended on its reliability. Now it seems to constantly change the rules without warning, explanation, or apparent logic. You might plan a leisurely walk one bright morning, only to be overcome by an unexpected wave of fatigue that seems to materialize from nowhere. You might bend down to retrieve something from a low shelf and discover it takes considerably longer to straighten up again. Perhaps you're caught off guard by momentary dizziness, unusual stiffness in joints that were fine yesterday, or strange tingling sensations that vanish as mysteriously as they appeared. Here's the aspect of this experience that rarely gets discussed openly. This unpredictability gradually erodes not just physical mobility, but fundamental confidence. Suddenly, you find yourself thinking twice before accepting social invitations or planning outings. Not because you lack interest or ability, but because you've lost certainty about how your body might respond on any given day. That uncertainty can make your world feel smaller, your sense of self more fragile, your approach to life more hesitant in situations where you previously felt completely in command. This hesitation is entirely understandable, a natural response to changing circumstances. But if there's one crucial truth that can serve as an anchor during this time, it's this: while your body may no longer maintain consistent reliability, your response to its changes absolutely can. Flexibility becomes your new strength. Adaptability becomes your shield against limitation. You learn to prepare differently for activities, to pace yourself more thoughtfully, to extend the same grace to yourself that you'd offer to someone you deeply love, all without surrendering your determination to live fully. You begin listening more attentively to your body's signals, resting when genuine fatigue appears, incorporating gentle stretching into daily routines, consulting healthcare providers not just reactively when problems arise, but proactively to understand how to navigate this new landscape. Because knowledge, even when facing unpredictability, restores a crucial sense of agency and control. So while your body might not function as dependably as it once did, you, with all your accumulated awareness, experience, and wisdom, remain very much in charge of how you respond to these changes. That response makes all the difference in determining the quality of your days. We've journeyed together through 5 profound realities that often emerge after crossing the threshold of 80 years. Each reality brings its own unique surprise, and each one quietly but powerfully reshapes how we experience and navigate the world around us. From the gradual thinning of once vibrant relationships to the physical unpredictability that appears without warning, these transformations have a remarkable way of catching us off guard, even when we thought we were fully prepared for the aging process. But here's the essential truth. Acknowledging these changes isn't about surrendering to decline or limitation. It's about stepping forward into each day with clear-eyed awareness so you can continue living with greater fullness, wisdom, and freedom. What resonated most deeply with you as we explored these realities? Which of these 5 transformations have you noticed emerging in your own life or perhaps in someone dear to you? I'd love to hear your perspective. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Tell us one insight you've gained from today's discussion and how you plan to respond to it. Whether that means releasing unnecessary guilt, rekindling a connection that has drifted, or simply extending more kindness to your changing body, your story might provide exactly the encouragement someone else needs right now. Because ultimately, aging doesn't diminish your value, it deepens it immeasurably. By facing these truths together rather than in isolation, we strengthen not only ourselves but our entire community. Thank you for joining this important conversation today. If something in this video resonated particularly strongly with you, I'd be grateful if you'd share that in the comments below. Your thoughts truly matter, and reading them provides tremendous motivation to continue creating content that informs, inspires, and builds community. If you found value in today's discussion, please consider liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and sharing with others who might benefit. Your support makes it possible for us to continue creating meaningful content for this community. I look forward to connecting with you again in our next video.